Hello, Mgtows. Hello, men. Hope all is well today. Go your own way. Go your own way, Ming. And don't listen to all the Simpsons of your past. Don't listen to all the guys that are going to tell you you're not good enough. You are good enough, and that's it. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about biological and psychological needs. It's often misinterpreted, but I put a picture up in the back. Um, in South America, one of the worst things that you can get called is a jacana. You'll often notice the men calling each other jacanas, and there's a reason why the female jacana and the male jacana are sexually dimorphically flipped. You would think that that little guy on the bottom is the female, and that guy that's the top. Look at the size of her feet. The size of her feet are huge compared to his. That's the male, and that's the female on top. Sexual dimorphism is flipped. There's an interesting thing that happens with the jacana. Uh, the male sits on the nest. The male is stuck at home. That's what we see a lot with humans now. It's one of the classic examples of sexual cryptis when the sexual dimorphically they're flipped, and I see this happening with humans a lot too. The smallest squirmy males are weak, and they just they're the nesters, and they like living in the nest, and that's what we often talk about the simp and the simp and the cackling hyena, that little guy that just will do anything for it. But there's an interesting thing that happens with the mating and periods of that, and that's why the male's sitting on a nest after the female has the eggs, and she flies away and she goes off. She's doing her stuff. She's looking to find another mate at that point. Other jacanas are flying around, so a bigger, larger, dimorphically larger jacana, the female, will come down at the nest, and she'll beat ass on the male bird, and the male bird will give up the nest. She'll smash the eggs of the other female. Then she grabs the male like that. She dominates him. She takes him off to her nest. She forces him. She rapes him to have eggs. And then she lays eggs, and then he starts protecting the eggs again. He learns from that lesson, essentially, how to protect the nest. And then eventually he learns how to protect the nest. I see this a lot in human biology, and there's a lot of crossover between humans. They learn how to protect the nest eventually, and they're cuck, they're simp, they're jacanas, and that's pretty much where our society is going. But there's a lot of biological, there's a lot of functions involved with that, and there's a lot of psychological functions. Psychological functions are really important to us humans, and they control everything about us. Psychologically, you can do yourself harm by being in a psychological bad place, and that's where we come in with the you need sex as a male. You don't need sex biologically. There's no evidence in that. Sex is pretty much just a strategy, and sexual strategies, and the PUAs are right there. Psychologists have done a number of studies and about needs and what you really need, and psychologically you need security, the security of a home like this. You can provide that as a single male. You need self-esteem. You need something that'll keep you going. Autonomy and connection. This connection also gets it gets very confused sometimes, because everybody often thinks about the family connection, and then the female dominates in that family connection, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how the female dominates in those family situations. How do we know this? There's no evidence that sits out there, and I'll digress back to the fact there's no evidence that's out there that I'll argue with any and every person about this, that they can present evidence that celibacy or asexuality actually has a physical or psychological unhealthy effect on you. That's no evidence at all. You cannot die from not having sex or physical engagement with people. You simply replace strategies with other strategies, and we'll talk about strategies and other strategies as we go on. A lot of people argue the health benefits of not having sex or not when you take all the evidence together, there's no evidence that having sex will make you wealthier, healthier, happier, or being around a woman or having that kind of connection, because there are other kind of there are kind of strategies psychologically. We misplace sexual strategies, and there is more evidence to the contrary, where being celibate, being asexual, being staying away from the female in a mostly moderate way, where you just stay away and you separate yourself from that family environment and you separate, it is basically really healthy for you. And I'll say that again, it's basically really healthy for you. You will live longer. You will live a happier, healthier life as a Mgtow. And that's a proven fact. We can prove some facts scientifically. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. There's no, you can have a healthy family unit, or you can have another strategy of, say, having friends, or having a Mgtow group, or having a group, or a church group, or even and that's what we see a lot. We see people replace the family with church. We see the family get replaced with social things, bowling groups. You can replace it healthy with any kind of group. And that fulfills one of the needs of connection to other people on this planet. It doesn't have to be a sexual strategy. It doesn't have to be including someone that you know in your life, like the Jacana up there, is going to do harm to you. Yeah, like that Jacana bird up there, it is going to do harm to you. And so that's why I put that one up today. I'll take that one down and put a more moderate, happy. Yeah, there we go. Happy. Like we're sitting in the woods and we're all like, yeah, this is my place. So we know that sexual strategies of males and females and human are very cryptic. There's cryptic choice in their sexual cryptis, and that's the only thing you need to know about females, is there is sexual cryptis, and they desire what it boils down to is they have cryptic choice, and they desire the attention and connection with all the males in the community, not just one. And that's one thing that you're going to have to learn. And that's the same thing with the Jacana bird. She wants you sitting home, providing that protection for her, and so she can go off and do what she wants and have other babies, and you will be the protector and provider. And that's what you're doing. You're being the protector and provider of the eggs, and you will be forced violently to do that. Same as Jacana. There's an option in this world. There's an option called Mgtow, and not a lot of people like to take that option, because it removes you from a lot of the garbage out there. And I hear what I think a lot is, I hear that, oh, men have a biological need for that. No, you don't. There's no biological need for involvement with a female. We can take the evidence of. You look at gang violence. We looked at Mexican Mgtow. He's always into that gang violence. He went all gangy when right after he had a divorce from his wife, and then he was like with the gang symbols, and then, man, take me to your leader, to man. Well, that's natural. That's natural for a male, especially, to involve himself with the connection of a gang where he has a father figure. And that connection with the gang where he had father, and that fulfills the needs of his male mother need, or whatever he had. And there's over enmeshment, and in families in America, especially in America and otherwise, and where boys are enmeshed with single mothers, and they get too over enmeshed. And this is where the problem comes in with. They found out that like over 90% of the people in gangs were from families with fatherless homes, where boys were over enmeshed with their mother, where they felt they had to go take care of things. And the Jacana was prodding the baby to go out and make money, and he would do it by drugs and by violence. But he got the same thing he needs in society from connection and self-esteem and a father figure in the gang. So that took care of all. Now that's a destructive, what we call, there's constructive ways to do this, and there's destructive ways to do this. And that's kind of my point today. You can constructively put together a system of life like a Mgtow, like I have, where you're connected with your community, you go out, you have others in your life that don't require you to do something to their V to make them happy. You can have like you can go bowling. You can involve yourself in a group like Mgtow. Mgtow is another social connection that takes the place of the family. Will The purpose of Mgtow is to invert that biological, what they call a biological need, but there is no biological need for sex and procreation. There's no evidence at all that happens in this world, and there's evidence to the contrary that's more healthy when you think about it comparatively to the sexual cryptis. You're not supposed to stay around. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to be a father. You get in there, you leave. That's the way biological functions. That's the way biology functions. And humans have a desire for freedom, and freedom is solitude, and solitude from everything. Whatever the females do, it's none of our real problem, or how they raise the babies or anything. But she's supposed to bring it in the community, and you have the cucked males in the community. Them are the Jacanas that will take care of the kids, and we're all pre-cucked. We're all pre-cucked. She goes off and she mates with the alpha. She has a Jacana male that will sit on the nest, and then that bird will learn, and he will grow by being beat up by all the other females, and then the eggs get smashed. Every time an egg gets smashed, it's probably a real shame process with the Jacana. But but the cucked males, the beta males that we see, the incels, and these guys that coming around, they're all squirmish about what I say, that we're supposed to have males. No, you're not supposed to be in a house with a female. That there's a lot of people out there right now with coronavirus that are sitting in our house, and for the first time in 5 years, alone with their wives, and they're starting to figure out right after about a week that that's a horrible. I wouldn't force that on any man alive, to be at home alone with a woman for a week without being able to go out, because we're going to start noticing the real social effect. And the real social effect of this, pretty soon, men will start lashing out. The divorce rates will start, they'll start seeing the true self. The mask drops, and they start seeing the true self in each other, and the true biological fact that these people probably shouldn't be in the same room with each other for more than 2 hours, which they probably make a relevant fact around their lives. But they just won't tell you anyway. She'll be in the kitchen, he'll be in the garage, he'll be in his work unit, his work shed, and then she'll be in the house doing her thing. And that's the way most married life is. They stay away from each other because they know if they're in the same room with each other for more than the Jacana comes out, and they start fighting. It's the F and F effect, which I talk about. F and F, put it together in your mind, the fight and where if they stay in a room for 2 hours, they'll fight, and then they'll F, and then they'll mate. And that's what happens with the Jacana bird. She beats the living crap out of him, and mentally and physically. But there's no physical need or biological need to do any of these things to mate or anything. You can replace all those needs with other things, and there's other, because it's just a strategy anyway. How does your strategy? And that's what we talk about in Mgtow. There are other strategies to this. Go to a bowling club, go to a book club, start a bowling league if you have to, connect with others in the park. I do the e-bike connection, where I go out and I promote e-biking in the park for healthy seniors and healthy people. Do these things, and they get out and they talk about their bikes, and the club, you do that. That's how you develop healthy connections, and that replaces the need for simping, the need for all those things. You have sociological needs. Basically, these sociological needs is house, shelter, food, and that's biological needs. You can't live without air. You can't live without food. You can't live without a structure in a cold area, stuff like that. That's very biological. But the need for it always just really bothered me when I see these simps coming around, and I had a few videos made about me, and these like, Teresa, well, Mgtow, you're wrong. We have a biological need to be around women and have sex. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's called an emotional attachment, and those emotional attachments come out in unhealthy ways for simps. And some of those unhealthy ways they come out, like I said, enmeshment is when the male is too enmeshed with his mother, and then there's no mentor figure around except for cucks and everything. But that's our society nowadays, and it develops very naturally. And Darwin was probably right about all this stuff, and most likely he is right about that, because we can see how it develops. And when feminists say women need a man like a fish needs a bicycle, she is obviously 100% right. And I say a man needs a woman like a fish needs a bicycle. You have short encounters of sex, then you're supposed to go away, because you're not supposed to be living in a nest with a female. It's just a natural thing. You're not the male. The human male doesn't raise the baby. They don't sit on the eggs. They're not supposed to be. Unless sexual dimorphism flips. And I see this sexual dimorphism sort of flipping in the matriarchal society. And sooner or later, if this thing keeps going, human beings through evolution will develop, the females will become larger and the males will become small and disgusting, and will be a lot like the Jacana bird. What really happens in these things is there's a rise in oxytocin and serotonin, and a drop in testosterone levels when you start going around a female. The prefrontal cortex activity is slowed. It's restricted in the male. And what really happens is the process is designed to get you drunk on love. And then you get involved. The oxytocins are there, and that's what these guys call love. And there's no love, what I would call in human society, is there's two kinds of love. There's a sexual and physical between man and woman, which is brought on by chemicals. The other kind of love is more metaphysical, reciprocal altruism sort of love for your neighbors and the family, and that's the one that I promote. Love your neighbor, love the people around you, have them love you, and you'll develop real connections that have nothing to do with the mating section on the other side. You develop connections in your society with people that respect you, and they love you, and things start working out. That's the other side of the connections. When you do these things, with females, we start mistakenly observing that there's a biological need for that, and there's no biological need for those other things. Men often say, "Oh, I'm going to die if I don't get hugs. I'm going to die if I don't do that. I'm going to die if." Let me tell you, you need a few things in life. You need security. You need self-esteem. It's pretty good for you to have a healthy male that has good self-esteem. I have great self-esteem. I say I'm the best thing that walked on this planet. I often pat myself on the back and give myself kudos, but that's self-esteem that's self-made through myself. But when I do things, when I build things, when I accomplish things in this life that are real, and I don't validate myself through a female, because that doesn't help my self-esteem any. That's just self-validation through another person, and that actually destroys your self-esteem. Autonomy and connection. You need a bit of autonomy in a life where you can do this. You need a connection. You need to feel oneness with yourself, and you can get that other ways. It doesn't have to be a sexual relationship with a female that is probably more harmful than it is good for you. It causes stress. The cortisols will start going, those oxytocins. You're on drugs, whether you like it or not. It's an addiction, and it becomes a very addictive thing. And that's what we talk about in Mgtow. And that's what the premise of Mgtow is all about that addiction. And she'll say, oh, well, we hear these, the biggest hypocrisy I hear in life is like, he put it in me and they got me drunk. No, wait a second. Let's think about the actual biology. You put something in him first, which is bacteria that turned on all those cortisols and oxycontins and stuff. You got him drunk first. So all men are pretty much cucked and raped from the beginning, because this would never happen if female bacteria didn't invade the male body. So she raped you first, and that's a biological fact. But they're not allowed to say that in the society, because we do have a society that's basically females are dimorphically bigger now. The matriarchy is bigger than the patriarchy, and they're just jumping on top of you like that Jacana bird that I said, and they're dominating men nowadays. And men aren't allowed to. Basically men aren't allowed to stand up to it, because you have the cuck nation, the cuck army, that will thug you out. That's police, and that's your laws, and that's every simp out there that believes in religion and believes that you should be trapped inside of a house with a female. That's the cuck army, and they will, and you'll have to fight every single one of them. And that's what we fight. I've had 100 videos made about me over the last few years for saying what I say, because the cuck army is all over me, and they believe in these things, and they want to be the Jacana on the bottom, because they like getting subjugated. They like being slaves. They like being cucked. They like being dominated. That's what those men desire in their lives. We see that in S&M. We see that, and that's why I went after that one jerk that came in here, because of his S&M time. He's just saying he wants to be the Jacana on the bottom, where the female dominates him. And that's what life is becoming for males in the society. And I want to stop and just go to the page. I'll go female on that guy. Yeah, I'll go over here. And so the people that did show up, I am getting highly censored these last few days. I got a notice yesterday. It's part of my special Being Joe notice that they still don't trust me. So I'm being censored by bots. They said there's no human, because they said because of COVID-19, we can no longer humanly review your videos and put them up. So we're just going to have bots censored. So I get I just get censored right out of this thing. But that's for saying things like this. And what I say today, I tell the truth, and that irritates the people down there. It irritates the breeding class and the people that are about to get cucked. And it puts a big wrench in the works of what we do here. So they sent me a notice yesterday explaining why my videos would not be put out until afterwards. I'll have to wait like 6 hours, I noticed, before my video even goes up on us after this, because I am being censored by bots now. That's what they said to me. And because there's no human to actually review and make sure, they said they still don't trust me. So that in what they say when they say bots is your name has been inserted in a prior censorship to what you're talking about. You are prior censored. We have laws against this, but they're allowed to do it now, where they prior censor this kind of media and this kind of knowledge from. They're like little Hitlers. It's so what do they call it? Prior restraint is what it's called legally, and prior restraint is one of our biggest crimes in America. But YouTube's allowed to do it to me, and they're allowed to do it with people that they disagree with. So they priorly restrain my videos, and it'll take like 6 hours most of the time before it goes up now. And I won't get put out there. I don't get no feed, and objective and subjective truth. There is no thing as subjective. I was reading this thing about subjectivity, and how everything's subjective and nowadays, and it was kind of interesting. And there was a subjective. We have subjective idealism in America now, and that's because everybody's so sensitive, and they're all so sensitive about hearing the truth and everything. So yeah, algorithms are writing the subjective. Yeah, subjective. Yeah. Goof. Yeah, that's funny. Uh, yeah, so there is going to be no human review because they sent all those people home for coronavirus protection, and now it's just being run by the bots, and the bots are saying no to reversible Mgtow. We don't trust you anymore. So the incels are becoming a problem lately. When they're not at work, when idle hands are the devil's tool, and idle hands nowadays, the incels and the TFLers have been out uh, making videos lately and getting associated with Mgtow, and they're not really Mgtow, and that's always been one of my problems. We have to disassociate ourselves with the incels, the TFLers, and the PUAs and the men's rights people because we're totally think different. Mgtow's a totally different thing where men don't believe in all that garbage, like I previously stated, biological facts. And you got Christians that are, oh no, no, science is bad because you guys tell all the truth about it, and we got a perfect system built on lies. And I was listening to one of those Christians, and he was going on about the revelations and everything. And my thought was, don't you know that book's written about you? As a, yeah, your whole culture is built on lies, and that book is written about you because you're the 12 tribes. It's not me. I'm not the 12 tribes. God has no problem with the way I think. It's it's the 12 tribes he has the problem with because all of them worked up this fantasy fiction world in their head where they're living a lie, and that's what he's saying. He probably agrees with Darwin and now wouldn't that be a twist? So whoever wrote that book agrees with Darwin, and he believes that the Christians themselves are the problem. He's not talking about people outside of the tribes. He doesn't care about them. Uh, what a bunch of idiots. Yeah, that's why Christianity is such a it's such a it's so hyperbolic, and it's so hypocritical, and the people understand it so little, and they have so little intelligence. It's something that they just use to guide your. If you need a book to guide your ethics in this world, you're pretty morally deflated to begin with, and ethically deflated, and you have no idea how to live in this world. That's what we see with the incels and the simps and the TFLers and the cackling hyenas and the beggars and everything. They have no concept of how to live in this world. And they often they often lash out at MGTOWs for telling them simple truths. They're the Jacana bird on the bottom, and that's the way their life is going to go. They're going to get dominated by the female and the matriarchy unless they develop some kind of masculinity. But they'll, oh man, traversable Mgtow, you believe in the square strong man, square jawed. Yeah, I do believe in this. At a certain point, you have to be a strong man. You have to be, and you have to say it because other people will take advantage of you in this life if you don't back them off sometimes. And sometimes it takes a fist, and sometimes it takes words. Most of the time, it'll take harsh words. Because we do have so many TFLers and so many incellers and so many men that want to be dominated in the society. You know, guys like me are just a man. We're not. We're a rarity, and but that's Mgtow, and becoming a Mgtow is not going to be easy for most of these guys. And I see it. I review the videos every day, um, and I see the awful influx of incels and simps and blue pillars and these red pill woke guys. I looked at a Chad today. He had huge arms, huge, and he was trying to explain that he was red pill woke, and I was thinking, man, MGTOW has become a meme when Chad has become red pill. It's like he believes he's woke. There's this woke thing. You would just have to think about it for a long time, and you would say that origin ideas are. You would have to say there are no origins ideas or experience. That say you have no origins idea. I don't know about that, but That's why I wanted. That's the only thing I wanted to talk about. Come by on a Saturday morning where I know I'm being censored, and I just wanted to see what was going on. Say hello to all these these the men around here, and say and you know just talk about there is no such thing as biological needs of sex for a male. You don't need it. It's not going to kill you if you don't have it. A matter of fact, it will assist in your life and keeping far away from women as you can, and keeping far away from those family situations will give the cuck males the time to take in their real spots in this world. Them are the guys who sit on the nest. Yeah, let's put that picture back up so you know. Uh, Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. These are the guys that have been dominated by the female. That's the female bird on top, and that's the male on the bottom, and he's getting dominated uh, by uh, by the matriarchy, and he's going to be the cuck male. He's going to be the beta males that are sitting on the nest inside of those nest houses. He's going to be yelled at all day. He's going to like that too. There's a certain amount of SS, there's that sexual tensions or whatever. They like that. They like being beat. They like being subjugated. They like being slaves. They like being dominated. And that that's and you see this all over with the cucks. He's going to be dominated. But there's no reason why the alphas and why us Mgtow males need to sit around and watch that anymore. We remove ourselves from this society. Although we have to live among the cuck nation and all the nests in your neighborhood, and you're going to see the most awful things with these families. I look out, and twice a week there's going to be some police car for over here and over here and over here where the families are fighting, and they realize that this family unit is just a mess in America, and men shouldn't be living with women. And never taking in the consideration of actual biological functions that humans got. It's funny, we can see things in animals, we can see things in apes, and we can see things in and Darwin's seen a lot, and and in the world and the biological world, but we can't see things in ourselves. We can't discover these things that there's the alpha nation of MGTOWs that move away and say, no, we will not involve ourselves in this religious family unit that you say is supposed to happen, because we know we're not supposed to live in those kind of situations, because we know it leads to violence, and it leads to men fighting, and it leads to family groups fighting, and we know we're supposed to move out and let the cuck males go in there and be dominated. You cuck male, you're on the bottom. That's what you are. The matriarchy is dominating you in those situations. You will be the protector. You will be the provider. You have learned because you've been trounced on a million times, and that's why I say nobody has ever learned from positivity. Most males learn from behind something negative happen. When the eggs got smashed the first time, that's when he learned how to fend off the more dominant female, and he becomes the perfect cuck male. He becomes the intermediate explosive disorder cuck male that fights and fights with other men, and fights with other human beings, but defends his spot in life, which he thinks is that nest, which he's defending the eggs, and that's what he's becoming. He's become the cucked male. And that job is for the betas. That job's for the TFLers and the incellers. The real MGTOWs, we don't do that job. We inseminate the females and we walk away. That's what we are. When she's out there flying around and you're back at the nest, that's what she's doing. She's looking for a Joe so she can, and she goes back pregnant to the nest. Cocks. TFLers make me sick, and religious people make me sick because they have no idea what's going on in the world, and they have no idea about how the world really works. And there's a mevolution going on in Mgtow, and join in the mevolution, because it's all about you. It's all about becoming what you're supposed to be, the masculine male, the dominant male in the society, without these cuck rules. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. There's no biological need that says you have to do that. You have to participate in the family unit. That's cuck rules. They're my Jacana rules. And Like they know in South America and in Africa, if someone calls you a Jacana, them are fighting words. Them are fighting words. But most of these men are Jacana, really. I see them around. I see them in the NSL. I see them in the TFL. I see about every one of those guys lashing out at me, making videos right now because they have free time. They have the devil's time on their hand now because they can't figure out what to do with their lives. Now that they're off of work for a week and they're finally having some thought about how miserable their lives are, that's all they can do is lash out at Mgtow because, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to ride my bike around today. I'm going to wave to all my neighbors. I have a social connection to my neighborhood. I don't believe that I'm going to catch coronavirus if I go ride my bike around and I do those healthy things that are healthy for me that I've discovered in life that give me a lot of joy staying away from all those rest of those people. I've been I've been socially distanced for years, so it's no big problem for me. Uh, freedom is solitude. Unless you have that solitude in man, you can never have no autonomy in life. You can never have no you can never really experience being a man. That's what you need. You need autonomy, and that's what we discover in Mgtow. We discover that is more important. Self-esteem, autonomy. You can get your place to live. You can take care of all your needs, but unless you have those, and that's what Mgtow gives you, an independent feeling of autonomy, and that's what they were trying to say with what was that? What's his name? Thoreau, David Henry Thoreau, and his 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 the way he lived his life. That's what he was saying. There was about individualism. It was about autonomy and how the world was so screwed up that he couldn't even watch it. But that's a video for another day, and I just wanted to talk about the biology. There is no biology. There is no evidence, scientific evidence that you need that or you're going to die. You replace that with a strategy, and them things, sexual strategies are just strategies, and there's other strategies that you can do in this world. You can take a Mgtow strategy and really do well, if you choose to, but there's a lot to get over. You have to get over being the Jacana. You have to get over being the cucked male. You have to get over all those things, and you have to remove yourself from those society and family situations that hold you as the Jacana. And that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I know I drive a lot of these cucks nuts, and the religious guys go nuts when they hear me. That's good. That's what I'm supposed to challenge you on your beliefs. Anytime you want to find out if something is true, you're supposed to challenge your own belief. You're supposed to make arguments against it. And if those arguments fail, then you're right. And I found that in Mgtow, all the arguments against us fail terribly. And that makes us more right than right. It makes us more righteous than righteous. If you want to bring an argument, bring an argument. And bringing pejorative insults is nothing. That just shows your ignorance that you can't argue. And that's what I'm saying. Bringing pejorative ignorance to Mgtow is saying you have no ability to argue, and you might as well go be the Jacana. You might as well go be dominated by the matriarchy. You might as well be that guy sitting on the nest in a family unit, because that's all you're doing. You're being forced to be a utility. And if you don't understand that, well, you're probably too stupid to be a Mgtow. And that's what I find with most Mgtows today. They're too stupid to be Mgtow. They think they're red pill woke. And they have no idea. That's all I wanted to talk about today, guys. And hey, if you are a Mgtow, then thanks for being Mgtow. And if you're not, get the hell out. Get off my lawn. That's what I say. Idiots. Get off my lawn. Because this is my lawn. I spent a long time making this thing happen, helping making this thing happen. And then we got a bunch of cucks sitting on my lawn. Idiots. Idiots. Hey, if you are a Mgtow, thanks for being Mgtow, and you're probably not going to see this video for a number of hours because they're not going to put it up. But thanks a lot, men, and thanks a lot for coming around. You guys have a great day. I'm going to go have a great day because all my days are great now. I like all my days now that I'm a Mgtow. Thanks for being a Mgtow. Mgtow.